Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Srimad Hanuma Bhima Madhvantargata Ramakrishna Vedavyasatmaka Shri Lakshmi Hayagrivaya Namaha. Apadamoliparyantam Gurunam Akratim Smare Tena Vighna Pranashyanti Siddhanticha Manoratah. Lakshmin Tanotu Nitaram Itarana Peksham Angritvayam Nigmashaki Shikha Pravalam. Hairambam Amburuhadambara Chaurya Nikram Vignatri Bheda Satadhara Thurandarana. Sarvesham Swagatam. This is the first session of our new discourse, Madhva Siddhanta through Shri Krishnamruta Maharnava. So, the first session was the Vyakhya, that is, whatever the Kriti is, we will learn more about that. The Bhashya will be more tailor-made towards understanding the concepts of Madhva Siddhanta. So, all those elements of Madhva Siddhanta that we will specifically be talking about, new things, etc., we will find it in the Bhashya section. So this is the first part of that. That is the first session. And since we have seen the first Adhyaya to be Mangalacharana and finding the purpose, we will try to understand what these concepts are from the perspective of Madhva Siddhanta. But here we won't find much difference or any new perspective, because these are very old concepts. Mangalacharana, both Mangalacharana as well as Prayojana of Akriti, that is very deeply etched in Nyaya. So, what are we going to understand in this? First, what is Mangala? Mangala Acharanam. Acharanam is an action. Achara Acharanam. Bringing into action a certain principle, a certain kriya. It is Acharanam. So, what is Mangala Acharanam? Mangala, as we have seen in many scriptures, is Ananda Prada Mangalam. This is what we saw in Sri Rama Gita. We follow a similar trend. Anything that grants us a nature of auspiciousness, that is Mangala. So in the Tarkika Bhashe or Nayayika Bhashe, Mangalasya Grantha Samaptihi Phalam. Or the as there's another Vyakhya which says Chikirshitasya Granthasya Nirvighna Parisamaptyartham Mangalam Anutishtatam. Anushtitam, sorry. Mangalam Anushtitam. So why is Mangala performed? What is this Mangala? Mangala is usually a reverence, a dhyana of our favorite deity or our Aradhya, and seeking their involvement, blessing in whatever kriya that we are doing. So if we take an example, I'm going to start the adhyana of some maybe Vidyabhyasa I'm going to start. So I'm going to start my Mangala with, let us say, Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddharbhavatu Me Sada. Vyakarana Shastra Adhyana has to be done, then we do Adhyana of the Munitrayas. So there we say Vakyakaram Vararuchim Bhashyakaram Patanjalim Paninim Sutrakarancha Pranatosmi Munitrayam. So it is not necessary that a Mangala is attributed to a deity. There is no such compulsion. But there has been a parampara, and this is not limited to Dvaitis, this is not limited to Advaitis, this is not limited to any school of thought. It has been the nature of the Indian Shastras, the Indian Paramparas, to always start after a Mangalacharana, to do a Mangalacharana, to seek the blessings of a higher power, to seek the guidance of a higher power through a tribute to them, through a by paying our respects to them, Gauravartha, etc., etc. So here the Mangalacharana is performed. Mangalacharana is performed on various different associations, but mostly they are all individualized associations. While the general principle is that it is for Nirvighna Karya Samapti or Grantha Samapti. So most of our ancient writers, most of our ancient acharyas, they did Mangalacharana to seek the blessings so that their work can be completed without any vignas, without facing any vignas. Now, there is a huge Mangalavada associated with this, which says, oh, will we not face obstacles just by saying a Mangalacharana? So, there is a huge Mangalavada here. So, do those people who do Mangalacharana don't face any obstacles? They'll obviously face obstacles. Then what is the purpose of Mangalacharana? So when we say Grantha Samaptihi Phalam, then unfortunately in history we have seen many such granthas which have had Mangalacharanam, but has not seen the end. That is, they have not been concluded by the authors. One biggest example would be Champu Ramayanam only. So Champu Ramayanam as my Mangalacharana was from, I've taken the shloka from Champu Ramayanam, which is Lakshmi Tanotu Nitaramitaranapeksham Angritvayam Nigama Shaki Shikha Pravalam Hairambam Amburuhadambara Chaurya Nikram Viknadvi Bheda Shatadhara Dhurandaranha. Now, the last khanda of this has not been completed. It is said that Bhojaraja, who is the author of the Champu Ramayanam text, he did write it, but the Asthana Kavi, Kalidasa, at that point of time couldn't approve it. So without the approval of the Asthana Kavi, even the king cannot make that an official text. So therefore it has been dropped, lost, etc., etc. So there are many vadas with regard to this Mangalacharana. So when we have these things, then the question is, what is the Siddhanta then? If it is not the principle that those who do Mangalacharana do not encounter any kind of obstacles, if that is not the case, they will encounter encounter obstacles. And when there is proof that some kritis which have had Mangalacharana are not complete, what is the point of Mangalacharana? So here they say Mangalam Saphalam iti Anumanena Sadhyate. How through Anumana they do it is Mangalam Saphalam Avigita Vishishta, Avigita Shishtachara Vishayatvat. Avigita Shishtachara Vishayatvat. So ultimately, when we try to understand what is the purpose of Mangalacharana, it is not avoiding obstacles, it is not wishing that obstacles do not come by, but the purpose of Mangalacharana is to keep that focal point in our Rachana where we can reach up to and understand a positive energy. I have faced an obstacle. I should not give up. So what should I do? I remember my Mangalacharana. So it is a reminder of a particular intention with which we are starting a kriti, sort of sankalpa. So when we do that, we are not afraid of the obstacles, we are not avoiding the obstacles, and neither are we saying let there not be obstacles. We are saying the point is to complete the text, and for that completion, whatever is required, that is, we take a break, come back, write again, or we persist. So whatever is required, that should be done. So that intention of parisamapti must always be there along with action. So there should be every action taken to get rid of the obstacles as well. That is important. So here Mangalacharana is performed as a prayer. It need not be a prayer all the time. Usually they say Namaskaromi, I pray to thee, etc., etc. There are things like that, but otherwise also it is just said the intention is very specified. So sometimes it is not done. But even though Mangalacharana shlokas are not done, the intention will always remain. That is, if we look at Mahabhashyam, there is no Mangalacharana as such. It directly starts off, Mahabhashyakara starts off directly with Atha Shabdanushasana. So Atha is important, is Adhikarartha, which means Mangalacharana has been performed and that Adhikara has been given to start the Grantha. So that Artha is given. So while we may not see prayers, we may not see shloka, which to the favorite deity or whatever the intention of the script or the kriti is, the dheya of Mangalacharana will always be there. This is the importance of Mangalacharana. And this concept remains everywhere. This is a very ancient concept, and therefore we will find that this concept is existent even with this script, this kriti, this work, this grantha. So what is the Mangalacharana? Archita samsmruto dhyatah kirtitah kathitah shrutah yo dadatyamritatvam hi tamam rakshatu keshavah. So here Architaha, Samsmritaha, Dhyataha, Kirtitaha, Kathitaha, Shrutaha, Yaha dadati amritatvam, sa mam rakshatu Keshavaha. So that Keshava, who is worshipped, remembered, meditated upon, praised, and is the topic of this discourse. Kathitaha, about whom we are talking about, and who is the giver, Yodadati, of salvation. So here we will not see that bow down, I pray to, or etc. like that. So, but that is in brackets. So that Keshava who I pray to, that I will always remain in the brackets. Because Mam Rakshatu we are saying, right? Please protect me. So I pray to you who is who I have, who I worship, who I remember, who I do dhyana of, who I sing praises of, who I am talking about in this discourse. That Keshava, please protect me. Mam Rakshatu Keshavaha. So here, what is the speciality, the tattva involved in the Mangala of Krishnamruta Maharnava is Bhakti Bhava. I had mentioned this previously as well. While the Advaita concepts focus mostly on Jnana Yoga and they hold it in high regard, in Dvaita it is always Bhakti Yoga. Realization, they say, is through the devotion to the higher power. Not realizing within ourselves, but understanding what the tattva of Krishna is. Therefore, that is the point. So we will find that while other texts tend to say, oh, so different kind of deity I'm praying to. Like, for example, when we take the Mangalacharana of, let's say, uh, Nyaya Siddhanta Muktavali. Yes, Nyaya Siddhanta Muktavali. It is Chudamani Krita Vidhuhu Valayíkrita Vasukihi Bhavo Bhavatu Havyaya Leela Tandava Panditaha. This is with reference to Shiva. Leela Tandava Panditaha. Leela Tandava Panditaha. He is Shiva. So, while the description here we will see is with respect to the deity. So, what kind of he? We also have another Mangalacharana with respect to, yes, Nutana, Nutana Jaladhar, Nutana Jaladhara Ruchaye, Gopa Vadhuti Dukula Chauraya, Tasmai Krishnaya Namaha, Samsara Mahiruhasya Bijaya. He is the bija of the whole samsara. So this is with respect to Krishna, Mangalacharana. So we have different kinds of Mangalam, but what we usually find is that we describe the deity to paint a picture. But here we find that the Mangalacharanam is not with respect to the deity. We are not describing Krishna here. Though the Mangalacharana is with respect to Krishna only, it is not, we are not describing him over here. Then what are we doing? Rather than describing him, we are telling him how we show our devotion. How are we showing our devotion to Krishna? We do archana of him. Our smriti is always in his form. Our dhyana is achieved through his form. Kirti of his form is what we would like to say. What we are trying to say in this kriti, and about whom we would always like to hear. So the bhakti, what does the devotion show? Devotion must lead to complete surrender of oneself. While there we are trying to submit to a non-form higher power, here we have accepted a manifested power as our ultimate tattva, and therefore we are going to worship him, we are going to remember him, we are going to speak about him, we would like to listen about him, we would like to praise him. So bhakti bhava is extremely potent and has been displayed in this Mangalacharana, which is signifying the Dvaita Siddhanta. So it is very, it tries to diminish the way of prayer to the Lord or higher power or higher consciousness. So very specifying that bhakti bhava is what we require. We don't need to understand him. It is very difficult to understand him. But then to give in to him completely, given to the thought of Krishna consciousness, is where we'll be able to achieve sanctuary within that tattva. And therefore, for how do we give into it, or how do we, uh, you know, how do we make him avahana into ourselves? How do we make him the avaraka? then we have to do these things. So therefore, the bhakti bhava is very prominent in this Mangalacharana. That is the tattva involved. The story behind the initiation of Krishnamruta Maharnava has been already spoken about while Sriman Madhvacharya was on a pilgrimage to Kakoda district, and there he finds a Brahmin who is from the Bhagavata Parampara. That means who by lineage, who through a family kriya are usually preach the Bhagavata. They are into a form of worship where they worship five shrines. A Brahmin asks Sriman Madhvacharya to elaborate on the validity of Dvaita Siddhanta, and asks him any doubts and how to indoctrine him and his family towards this Dvaita Siddhanta. And Sriman Madhvacharya feels that this is a very valid question, because the Siddhanta today, he would be available to speak to everyone, but then he also needs a repository of information to help the Dvaitis understand and authenticate their form of worship. So he feels that the Shruti Moola, Shruti Pramana being the Puranas are called as Shruti Pramanas. Therefore, the Moola of this Dvaita Siddhanta, which he has shaped, is not something of his own, but rather it has its seeds, it has its roots in Shruti Pramana, and therefore he says this is the validity, and this is how the Dvaitis need to understand it, so that they don't get confused, or they fail to understand or grasp the concepts within it. He starts writing this particular grantha. While this is the story behind it, he also has a higher purpose. What is that higher purpose? This was what we discussed in the second shloka, which says, Tapatrayena santaptam yadetadakhilam jagat pakshyami shantaye tasya Krishnamruta Maharnavam. So here he's saying, while the story is telling us why he started writing this, he also has one more important, or the hidden agenda, broader agenda, is that to give the Jagat, that is suffering, that is riddled with all these different kinds of dukkhas, manifested world, to give them a way to do bring upon peace, or shamana of that tapatrayas. So that is the reason he is writing this Vakshami. He's writing this Krishnamruta Maharnava. Now, when we look at the manifested world, the manifested world also brings about this dukkhas, the three kinds of dukkhas. And the first shloka of Sankhya Karika speaks about these three dukkhas. Um, so while we should not take Sankhya to be the guiding source over here, because there is criticism of Sankhya Darshana, this is Vedanta Darshana. We are talking about Vedanta Darshana. But these three dukkhas have been explained in Sankhya. We will find that the darshanas have their own acceptance and non-acceptance, because we are talking about the sixth darshana, and that is the first darshana. So there will obviously be some kind of evolution where we will not take it in wholity. It is not possible for us to validate it, and acharyas also have criticized certain parts of it. But while we are talking about tapatrayena, what are these tapatrayas? There is acceptance that this tapatrayas are the three kinds of dukkhas that we see. That is um, adhibautika, adhidaivika, and then adhyatmika dukhas. So, Sankhyakarika says dukhatrayabhi dhata jignasa um, तदपघाते sorry तदपघातके हेतौ दृष्टे सा पार्थ चेन चेन्नैकान्तात् यन्त यो भावात्. I think there's been the Sandhi Vicheda for this has not been given, so have to spend some time to split it. Cha yena, and then it goes okay. But this is not the main part of our discussion anyway. So this is the first stroke of Sankhya Karika. So what is it trying to say over here? Dukhatrayabhihita abhida. So Dukhatraya, what are these Dukhatrayas? These are Adhyatmika, Adhibautika, and then Adhidaivika. So while Adhyatmika is the miseries that is suffered by the mind and body, Adhyatmika is what the different kinds of suffering that we suffer through mind and body. Adhibautika is a misery that we bring upon ourselves, or Adhibautika is the misery caused by other manifested forms, animals, birds, reptiles, non-sentient objects, etc., etc., like that. Adhidaivika is the misery caused to us by less manifested forms or more highly evolved forms like yakshas, rakshasas, grahagati we say. Those kind of things are adhidaivika, like sadesati what we say, those kind of things. So these three are the tapatrayas that has riddled suffering to this manifested world. So Sriman Madhva focuses and makes this a broader point in preparation of this kriti, in this grantha. And he says the purpose of this Krishnamruta Maharnava is to get rid of or bring upon peace, or get rid of means shamana, bring upon peace is shanta. So either of them or both of them, to the jagat which is riddled with tapatrayana, with all these three kinds of dukkhas. That is the spiritual purpose of Krishnamruta Maharnava. So what is the prayojana of Krishnamruta Maharnava? It is not to run away from the manifested things. It is to find meaning and find solace or bring about shanti through manifested things only. So that is the prayojana, and that is the importance. So we will never find importance to sannyasa given over here. It is always bhakti. So while there it says calm your mind, here it says focus your mind only on him, on Krishna. So that is the point. So the prayojana of Krishnamruta Maharnava here is to bring about a calmness of mind through the thought of Krishna. And while we are saying that, we are indulging in all the different kinds of Vaidika kriyas and bringing about meaning over there. We will see further in every adhyaya, we will see what is the importance, etc., etc. So that is the prayojana of Sri Krishnamruta Maharnava. So this is the first adhyaya, and we end the first adhyaya also. It's a very small one because there are only first two shlokas involved. And then we will see the next adhyaya is a little long. With this, we end the Bhashyam session. So Bhashyam is going to include the important concepts of Dvaita Siddhanta, and we will see how they are trying to bring importance to the Vaidika Kriyas. Dhanyawad. Swasti prajabhyah pratipalayantam nyayena margena mahi mahisha ओ ब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।